All right, now that it's hit 11:30, we will get started. Good morning, everyone. It's now uh, welcome to the Simple Invest 360 Training Week. Today's session is on Division 7A loans. My name is Christopher Banks, and I will be taking you through the course today. So, similar to the previous two webinars, we're going to have to go through a bit of housekeeping first. Please note, all attendees are in listen-only mode, so you'll be unable to talk or use the chat feature. However, we do have access to the question Q&A mode. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please send it through the Q&A, and you'll be able to either myself or one of my colleagues here today, Daniel, Andre, or Norman, will be able to answer on my behalf. Two, this webinar will be recorded and it will be posted to the YouTube channel. You'll receive an email with a link to the recording afterwards. So if you ever need to come back and double check anything, you have the option to there. So we're about halfway through the Simple Invest 360 Training Week. If you hadn't signed up for any of the other sessions and you wanted to sign up, even if it is just to get that link, I've posted in the chat right now the sign up page, so you can access that there. But tomorrow we'll have year-end compliance, and then on Friday we'll have contacts and documents management. So on today's agenda, first we're going to be looking at creating the Division 7A loan control account, the loan sub-account for when we process the Division 7A loan within Simple Invest 360. Then we're going to process two loans, one where we just use the worksheet, and I can show you how you'd process it if you have, for example, the company isn't within Simple Invest 360. I'll show you how to process it just through that worksheet, and then we'll also look at processing it in conjunction with the loan account that we set up previously, and then we'll complete the end of year compliance and post the inter-entity journals. And I'll show you how that works between an individual I've set up and the company. But first, what is Division 7A loans about? It's basically just private companies providing loans to their shareholders and how you must account for it. So, as it says there in the top point, must be a complying loan. What is a complying loan? There must be a minimum interest rate, there must be a maximum term set, and it must be in a written agreement. But now that we've quickly gone over that, we'll jump straight into the software. So I'm in Simple Invest 360. I've got my company, Banks Bank Services. We can see all I've got, fairly basic company, all I've got in is the initial purchase, or the initial issued shares, sorry. So as I said before, first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up the two accounts. So where we're going to do that, we're going to go to accounting, chart of accounts. You don't necessarily have to add a control account. You can technically use whatever asset investment account you would like to when using Division 7A. I believe it's good just because it lets you have a separate line on the statement of financial position titled Division 7A. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Add Account, Investment, and then we're going to switch the account class to Control. I'm going to change the code to 74205. You can make it whatever code you'd like. You're going to make the name Division 7A Loans. Then I'm going to expand for more details. First, I'm going to switch it to a non-unitized investment. It's not subject to CGT. And finally, we're going to add a linked account. So we need to add an income account, and we're adding the interest received. because we're going to be receiving interest off this loan, so we need the interest received account. But once we're done, we can click Save, and we've created a Division 7A. Oh, Division 7A loans account. So now we need to create the actual sub account that we can post to in the transaction list. So what we're going to do is we're going to click the Add New Control Sub Account, select Sub Account. It's automatically selected Division 7A loans. We're going to enter car loan. Description is, or the name is a loan for car. Because we set up that linked account, those linked accounts, that interest account under the control account, we don't need to do it here for the sub account because it will automatically be created. So we can click Save, and now we have a loan for car sub account or our car loan account. So we can now journal to it. So we can jump back to the transaction list found under accounting. We can select the bank account. I'm going to switch this to the current year. Make sure to check the date, make sure it's correct. We'll just use the 1st of the 7th for this example. Enter in our loan. And then we're going to enter in the $100,000 for the loan. Enter the description as well. And then we can post. So now we have the loan for the car there. We can now head straight to the Division 7A loans screen. So we head to shareholders, Division 7A loans. So currently, no loans exist yet for this company. We're currently on entity view. So the first thing I'm going to show is how to create it, assuming you haven't got this an entity in Simple Invest. You process the company somewhere else. Maybe you've been processing the loan just in Excel. So we click Create Loan, and so that's what I mean. We have two options. We can either attach it to an entity, or we can enter the entity name manually, which is for, as I said, if you're doing it, you don't actually have the entity within Simple Invest, you can process it this way. So we can type in the name, the description, set the initial year 0 of the loan, select the type of loan, whether it's a unsecured or secured loan, unsecured being 7 years, secured loan being 25. Enter in the established loan balance, and just like that, we're ready to create the loan. This brings up the Division 7A worksheet. So straight away, we can see here the interest rate the calculations for the interest rate, what the interest payment will be, the minimum repayment required, and the running balance per year for this next 7 years, because we selected an unsecured loan. From there, these interest rates will be updated if it changes on the ATO. The product team will update them. From there, you can then click on the drop downs here to expand out each year, enter in the date and enter in, oh, I hit the wrong number. There we go. Hit repayment. And then we've processed the amount in the worksheet. Once you're done, you can see here we have unsaved changes. We can click Save All entries, and then you would process year by year. But one of the most useful features is that, of course, we can export this to an Excel spreadsheet. So we'll show that now. There we go. Click the export worksheet along the top of the Division 7A worksheet, and we've got our Excel spreadsheet here. When it chooses to open. There we go. So this is the Excel spreadsheet. You have your summary, which is what you saw along the top here, and then your each year as well. There we go. If I enable editing, you can now see all the formulas. So that's the benefit of the Excel spreadsheet, is that it's not just pulling the data and just putting all the numbers, drawing down all the numbers we had in the Division 7A worksheet. Instead, it's using the actual form. It has actual formulas in. So if you update any of the numbers in the Excel spreadsheet here, it will then update for the rest of the spreadsheet. That way, if you kept updating here, you wouldn't have to keep re-downloading the new worksheet with the new information. You can if you want, but you could also just update the Excel spreadsheet, the one Excel spreadsheet, if you wished. I forgot to mention, I didn't see that one of my colleagues is, I have another one of my colleagues from the Simple Invest product team. Thank you, Stephen, for answering some questions. I'll just read out the answer he's put there. So we have a couple of questions related to if you enter multiple payments, will the system recalculate like the interest? And the answer is yes, it will recalculate. I believe I have in my slides here. Yep, there's the interest calculation taken directly from the ATO. So yes, it will recalculate for you, and the interest will take the repayments and when they are made into account. Also to note, like I mentioned before, currently we're on the entity view. You also have the access to the global view. So now we can see all the different loans within our Simple Invest firm. And if we needed to, we can export this as a PDF to give a nice summary of all the loans currently included in our firm. But now we'll jump back to actually creating a loan related to the accounts we made earlier and journaled in. So again, click Create Loan, attach to entity, Bank Services, loan for car. See here that the year zero, we're going to select 2024. We'll select unsecured. And you can see here, as I mentioned earlier when we were creating the actual accounts, Simple Invest does allow you to select multiple or allows you to choose from any investment accounts you set up. In our case, that's why we set up the Division 7A and then the car loan. And we select up the interest account. So straight away, it would automatically select the 225,000 interest received account. Then, because we've journaled it in, uh, the system has picked up that we have that 100,000 that we entered in originally. So then the final, it's optional, but it's going to ask us to select the borrower. So you can either select a contact if you just have the contact entered. But in my case, my one shareholder for this company is already, I have them entered in this company. So we're going to select myself, and then we're going to select the loan liability account. And we're going to scroll down, and you can see car loan is already here. That's because in my individual, I've already created a car loan account. So we can select this, and this is for later when we do the end of year compliance to do the inter-entity journals. It'll post directly to that loan liability account. So now that we've got that all set up, we can click create. And again, incredibly similar looking worksheet. We can also export it as well. Then, and we can see all our minimum repayment amounts, and access the years. However, because we actually have this as an entity within Simple Invest, I wouldn't recommend just entering in data here because it won't flow through to the transaction list. Instead, however, as I pointed out before, because we journaled that one original 100,000, if we put it in the transaction list, it'll flow into here, into this worksheet. So what we're going to quickly do is we're in 2024, but the first year that we start beginning our repayments is 2025. So we're going to jump to period compliance and quickly just end the year. We've got no income. We made nothing. It's asking us to open the inter-entity journal tool, but we made nothing, so there's nothing to post. So I'm going to click skip for now. I'm going to mark the tax return as lodged manually. You would obviously process the tax return. In this case, I'm not going to, just to get us through to the next period. And we click close period. Finish. Page refreshes. We're now in the 2025 financial year. So now we can go out our repayment. So we're going to go jump back to accounting, transaction list, and we're going to put a bank statement. So we're going to put in our date. He makes this repayment on the 30th of 6, 2025, 6. No, 25. I remember my dates well. Loan repayment. We select our bank account. And then we select our asset account. So we enter in our credit amount. Because we've chosen bank statement as the transaction type, it's debited us the other side already. So we've got our amounts here. Exactly what we want. Click post. Now, if we jump back to the shareholders screen, and then under shareholders, Division 7A loans, we can click here. And we can see that it's picked up a $10,000 payment. And we've got the interest remaining for the end of financial year. I'm going to point out there's a question here from an anonymous attendee that Stephen's answered, and I'll read it out because it is important. Do you have the same loan worksheet in Simple Fund 360? Currently, no. The Division 7A is only accessible in Simple Invest 360 with at least one company entity. So you have to have a company to be able to access it because it will be found under the shareholders screen or the shareholders, uh, yeah, on the sidebar. So we have our amount here. We can post the interest journal by clicking that, and that's going to post it, the interest for this period directly into the transaction list. But as pointed out, we haven't actually met the minimum requirement. Our client has only paid 10,000. So instead, what we can do is we can pay the rest out as dividends. So we've got dividends declared. We can post the dividend journal and it's updated to posted. And so now we've met the minimum further required to pay with 0. So now we've posted all our journals that we need. We click save and close out. Jump back to the transaction list. You can see all our system journals have been posted automatically for you, which leads us to, okay, well, we've posted it in the company, but clearly we have an individual that's also in Simple Invest. We need to post some of these journals to the individual side as well. So how do we do that? Through the entity journals, which is found in the period compliance. So we go compliance, period compliance. Start the workflow, save and post. We've got earnings for distribution. I'm just going to copy and paste the amount. It's picked up a Division 7A amount. Click post and continue. But then just like before, it's going to ask us if we want to use the entity journals to post the amount in the journals in our individuals ledger. So we say, yep, we open it up. So straight away, it's picked up the investment account. You would, if you haven't set it up previously, you have to select it. I set it up under the shareholders and explicitly told it when I was setting up my shareholder that the related investment account is the 77800 bank services account. Please note, after I spent far too long trying to figure out why it wasn't working, that you do need a 23900 dividends received account to be able to select the investment. So it's happy because there's no transactions. We haven't actually accidentally doubled up, and my cat's now trying to jump up onto my lap. Which then we can post, so there's no doubling up of any transactions. We can click post to Banks Chris, and now it's posted that journal in. And you can see that it's got a warning here saying, hey, well, just a orange little warning. Nothing too crazy, but you've got a journal now. But because we posted it directly through here, it's not going to let us post again. See here, however, we do have that $10,000 amount that we've already posted to. So when we click post, it's going to ask us to make sure that we've reviewed it. Fortunately, that is correct, though the date's wrong. Oh, well, can change that later. We can click post to journal to Banks Chris, and then we're done. Here, we've now posted all the journals. So if we jump back here, we refresh the screen, and there's both the journals, the dividend income from that first journal, from the first one when we posted to the dividend, and then we have our repayments, dividends repayment and interest received. So that's Division 7A loans in Simple Invest 360. Thank you all for listening. I saw we did get a couple of questions throughout. So I'll read out one of the questions here. Um, that Stephen answered because it's a good question. Why is the loan balance increasing in the example on the screen? That's because if we jump back to Division 7A loans, that is because this is just assuming if you didn't pay anything, this is the amount it's the interest it's increasing by. So every year it's going up. As you enter in those repayments amount, you'll slowly see the running balance go down year to year. Yeah, it is a good point. I have a question here. If you are entering like if you're processing the Division 7A loans not through an entity, you do have the option all the way to 2018 to set the year zero for the loan. It's not just like before when we were using uh, the company, it only let us select the 2024 financial year. But if you're doing this manually, you have the option to enter it all the way back from 2018. Okay, we've answered a couple of questions, but I can see there's no more new ones. Thank you all so much for watching. Congratulations on making it halfway through the week. Thank you for attending this webinar. Hope it's been insightful. As a reminder, because I did see a question at the very end, yes, you will receive this recording. It'll take a couple of days. It's just needed to be edited down, but it will be uploaded to the BGL Corporate Solutions YouTube channel, and then a link will be sent out with or an email will be sent out with the link and the slides.